Hello, students. Today we're going to be talking about order of operations. So let's get started. So we're reviewing order of operations. So if we remember order of operations from class, we had a friend. His name was PEMDAS. This is our recipe. Okay. Remember we talked about cooking, how we like to follow the recipe so we can get the food we want. So for example, with nice fluffy pancakes, we have to follow the recipe in order to get those fluffy pancakes. Because if we just put milk in a frying pan, we're gonna have evaporated milk. If we just put flour and eggs, we're gonna have some clumpy pancakes. If we cook the pancakes too long, we'll have burnt pancakes. So when we think of order of operations, we need to think of cooking like a recipe. We use PEMDAS. So let's look at what PEMDAS stands for. P stands for parentheses and brackets. Whenever you start an order of operations, the first thing you need to look for is parentheses and brackets. E stands for exponents. Lucky for you, we do not do this because we are in 5th grade. Next year, you'll get to see exponents everywhere. M and D stand for multiplication, division, and it's whichever comes first. It's like you're reading a book, okay? So M and D, multiplication, division, whichever comes first. And then we have A and S, which stands for addition and subtraction, whichever comes first. Remember, those last, for the multiplication and addition and subtraction, you're going to put your finger on the operation and go like if you're reading a book. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's look at our first problem. Let's look at a very quick review. We talked about this in class that when you go further up in math, there are different ways to represent multiplication and division. You will see this week in your Kahoot assignment. So for example, I can write 3 times 2 with an X, or I can write 3 times 2 with a dot, or I can write 3 parentheses 2, close parentheses. These are 3 ways that I can represent multiplication. Why do we need to know these? As you get further along in your math career, you're going to start using X as a letter, and we don't want to get it confused. So instead of having any confusion, we can put a dot in the middle, or we can have a number next to a parentheses. Whenever I see a number and there's nothing in between and the parentheses or bracket symbol, that means to multiply. We also have to talk about ways to divide. Now, the first 2 ways we've seen before. We've seen them in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and you will continue to see them. But it's this last way that is kind of new to us. If you look right here, this is a fraction bar. When we're doing fractions, we're dividing up a whole. So that's why we can use this. When you see a problem like this, you solve what's on top and you solve what's on bottom, and then you divide. So for example, 6 plus 3 is 9. Back. 6 plus 3 is 9. Draw my line. And then remember, I have to do what's on the bottom and I have to do on the top before I do any dividing. And 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So 9 divided by 9 is going to be 1. Okay? So these are the ways that we represent multiplication division. If you get stuck in your assignment, I would come back to this video and review. Let's look at our first problem. 55 minus brackets 18 minus 5 plus 3, close parentheses, brackets, 2. The first thing I must do is I need to write PEMDAS. This is going to help me as I go through my problem. So P stands for parentheses and brackets, and I need to look and see if I have any parentheses and brackets. I do. So I look at my parentheses and brackets, and I have more. There's a subtraction, and then I have parentheses and addition. Which one do I do first? Well, again, even inside the brackets and parentheses, I follow PEMDAS, and PEMDAS says to find the parentheses or brackets. So if I look here inside my brackets, I have a parentheses. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 5 plus 3. So 5 plus 3 is going to give me 8. So this is what I have now. 55 minus brackets, 18 minus 8, close brackets, times 2. Well, remember, I'm still following PEMDAS, and PEMDAS says to make sure you get all your brackets and parentheses out the way. I still have brackets, so I need to solve what's inside the bracket. So I underline 18 minus 8 because it's inside the brackets. 18 minus 8 is going to be 10. So now I have 55 minus brackets 10, close brackets, times 2. Now, why did my bracket disappear? Because of what I have right here. Remember what we said earlier. If I have a number next to a bracket or parentheses, and there's nothing in between, that means I have to multiply. That is why this bracket did not disappear. So I need to multiply 10 times 2. And that is going to give me 20. So right now, I have finished all of my parentheses and brackets. They're gone. I have no more parentheses or brackets. I don't have any exponents. And we just did the multiplication step, and there was no division. So my last step will be addition and subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 55 minus 20. So my final answer shall be 35. I need to do this all while following PEMDAS. Let's go to our next problem. Ooh, tricky, tricky, tricky. I have brackets, parentheses, 4 1/2 minus 5/10, close parentheses, plus parentheses, 9 plus 7, close parentheses, brackets, minus 2. This looks kind of busy. Well, the first thing I notice is 4 1/2. And then I have 5/10. So I need to find a way to make these either decimals or fractions. Well, I'm going to go to my handy dandy money chart, and you have that from last week's assignment. And I know that I can change 1/2 to 0.5. So I'm going to do that. And now my equation has decimals only. And we can get started with PEMDAS. So PEMDAS says parentheses and brackets. So here is my bracket. I have 2 sets of parentheses. So I'm going to start with 4.5 minus 4 5/10 minus 5/10. That is going to give me 4. Now, if you notice here, my parentheses is gone. Why? Because I solved the problem. There's nothing else in that bracket that needs to be done. I'm done. So now I have a 4, no parentheses needed. We're still following PEMDAS. So now I have 9 plus 7 because it is still in the parentheses. 9 plus 7 is going to give me 16. So as you can see, I don't need the parentheses anymore because I'm done with what is inside the parentheses. Okay, we're still following PEMDAS and we're still on the parentheses and brackets. Well, I need to solve what's inside my brackets. So 4 plus 16 is going to give me 20. I am done with my brackets. Woo woo! We don't have exponents because we are still in 5th grade. I don't see any multiplication and division, but I do have addition and subtraction. So in this case, whatever comes first. So if I go from left to right, I'm going to subtract. So 20 minus 2 is going to give me 18. This is our video for this week. If you have any questions, you can send me a message through Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams.